But we don't have a quorum.
We don't have a quorum yet.
So for those who are listening, we do not have a quorum yet and will not be starting until we do.
Here we go.
There we
It
go.
appears we have a quorum. Hi, Paul.
Oh, how are you?
Good.
A little sad.
Yeah, end of an era.
Oh, I tell you. Yeah, I heard that in a couple of weeks, somebody's going to be filing for NAID 3.
For NAID 3.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, since I'm gone.
Yeah, so you're just you're gonna hang around for a little while longer?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Well, we're gonna really miss you, Paul.
Yeah, no, I miss all of you guys, actually. Been
You know, we
good.
stop in every once in a while into our meetings and say hi.
That's right.
Yeah, you can speak during public comment and berate us then.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo-ha.
All right. Why don't we let's get this going. Let's bring this meeting to order. This is the June 7th, 2022 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. This meeting's being recorded. First item on the agenda, the May 17th, 2022 meeting minutes. Do we have any comments or changes or questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second,
All right, roll call. Paul Healy,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes,
David Vine,
yes.
and I vote yes. Next item, our Plum Island updates. Do we
Yep.
have anything new?
Not a whole lot, other than just a reminder that if anyone is interested, the MRBA, Merrimack River Beach Alliance meeting is this Friday, the 10th at 10 a.m. at Peta Hall on Plum Island. And we did just find out today that the Army Corps project to dredge the Merrimack River is out to bid, and they expect the bid opening to be on June 21st. And they still expect the dredge to be able to begin in September if all things go well with bids. That was good news.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I will not be able to make it to that meeting.
I have a conflict also.
I'll be there. I can update you guys.
All right. Guess we're done with that. First item on the agenda is Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Route 1 Merrimack Bridge, request for determination.
Okay. Is there anyone in the attendees here representing this project on behalf of DOTIC? Stephen
Yeah.
Simoglu. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm going to promote you to a panelist so that you can present the project. But yes, hold on a sec. Okay, Stephen, I'm promoting you to a panelist where you will be able to I don't know if there's anyone else. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, Stephen, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Okay. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, terrific. I'm also expecting one other person to assist in presenting. Susan, I'm not sure if she's joined yet, but she will also, Susan MacArthur, if you're able to, once she does join, if you're able to give her privileges as well. But
Yeah. We're a tad early.
yeah, no, that's no problem. I can so I can give some background on the project and some scope relating to the project, and then Susan is the subject matter expert relating to the environmental impacts, and she'll be able to speak to those in a little bit more detail. But I'm the project manager for the project, and as I said, I'm able to speak to the scope of the work. So yeah, so just to kind of get into it, the scope of the work is essentially a restriping job, pavement markings to the Route 1 bridge in Newburyport and crossing over to the Salisbury side. So the goal of the project is to improve bicycle accommodations across the bridge. And right now the accommodations are very substandard, and part of the program that I assist in managing looks to address gaps in the bicycle and pedestrian transit network. And there's a clear desire line between the Newburyport and Salisbury side from a bicycle connectivity perspective that we were looking to address. So as a result, we are looking to adjust the cross section of Route 1 through this section, where we will maintain one northbound and southbound travel lane. We will convert one travel lane in each direction to a buffer. So it'll just be a striped painted buffer. And then we will convert the shoulder into a bicycle facility. So in addition to that, and what triggered the environmental impact is we are adding spurs, or we are adding connections to the existing shared use path on the Salisbury and the Newburyport side. So they are.
Stephen, excuse me for a second. Is Joseph Cohen part of your group?
I'm not familiar. No, I don't believe so.
And I have two people with their hands raised. There's not going to be any public comment on this section. But
there is a McCarth SM. Would that be Susan MacArthur?
That would be Susan. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to promote Susan to a panelist as well. She can, yeah, she's just raised her hand. So you would, yeah. Now, Susan, you should be able to unmute yourself when you get over here.
So just to, I guess, close, so there are two portions, or there's one portion on the Salisbury and one portion on the Newburyport side where we are proposing about 50 feet of a paved way that's currently a pervious surface. And again, that's to add connectivity to the existing shared use path to the proposed bike facility.
Stephen, I can jump in here. I'm
sure.
Sorry that I had meant to present. I didn't realize we were going to start early. So I apologize about that. I'm not sure if Stephen talked to you about this, but the bicycle, all the work is considered exempt under 310 CMR 10.022B and the riverfront area regs 10.586B, except for the ramps that are going to come down off Route 1, and that work is not in bordering land subject to flooding, but it is in the riverfront area and in the buffer zone. It will join into a grassy strip. It'll be on a grassy strip, I should say, and join into an existing paved path. So the work will occur on an area that's currently grass, and erosion controls are proposed to prevent any sedimentation from leaving the work area.
Susan and Stephen, just quickly, I've got all your plans and the RDA up here, but feel free to tell me to move to a different page or zoom in on anything that you want to discuss.
No, I mean, I think, well, you could scroll to the last page. It just shows the erosion control barrier. I think it's the last page. It might be, no, it's one down, maybe one down, Julia?
Down from, you mean like one down from this page or
19, try 19.
try 19?
Oh,
This looks-
no,
Yes,
try,
this one.
yeah, that one, exactly. So typically MassDOT uses compost filter tubes. They're a little bit easier to maneuver, and we've found that they work quite well in preventing any sediment from migrating. And I think that's it. I don't know, Stephen, did you want to add to when the project, you anticipate construction in the early fall?
Yeah, at this point, the construction schedule's somewhat fluid. The program managing this work has several other locations that are scheduled. So it's really dependent on a number of things, but our best estimate at this point would be late summer, early fall.
And I forgot to add that the Merrimack is mapped as rare species habitat. That does extend onto the land a little bit. I believe the species is in the river, and the reason they extended onto land is just for added protection. But nevertheless, we are, MassDOT has done a MESA checklist, and they're coordinating with Natural Heritage.
Okay. Just for anyone who had a hard time with the plans and sort of visualizing where exactly this ramp work is taking place, which I did. So I pulled it up on my map as an aerial, and just so you can see, this might make it a little more clear. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen and Susan, the ramp from the bike lane onto the shared use path on land would be right around this area where these trees are shown. Is that correct?
I think it's a little closer to that monument.
Closer
thing.
to the water. Okay, so closer up here.
Yeah, Stephen, is that right? It's,
Yes, that's correct.
yeah.
Yeah, there will not be any impact to trees or removal of trees or
Okay.
anything along
That's
those
good
lines.
to know. Okay,
So
because on the project plans, it does look like you might have to impact the trees.
Yeah, at this point, it's not anticipated.
So essentially, the Route 1 bridge is going to lose a lane on each side to traffic, right? So traffic will traffic be merging before then? Just as a general, as a user of the bridge, just asking.
Yeah, for sure. So the lane drop will begin the exit prior. So if you're kind of traveling south, you have the Merrimack Street on and off ramp. And then prior to that, you have the, so you have the Merrimack Street on and off ramp. And then prior to that, you have the Winter and Summer Street sort of on and off ramp. So the lane drop as you're traveling northbound will occur at the Summer Street exit. The right lane will become an exit only lane. The left, which will be pavement markings, will be modified back, to that point, and there will be additional signage that'll be added. So it's clearly advertised it's an exit only lane. The left lane will, be maintained as a travel lane. That one lane cross section will continue northbound, and then the bike lane will be picked up at the Merrimack Street on ramp, and then that travel lane buffer bike lane will continue northbound into the Salisbury side. Southbound, a similar setup. the 1-lane cross-section, or travel lane rather, will continue to the Winter Street on-ramp. And one improvement that we're anticipating to see from this is where there is really minimal merging distance and lack of an acceleration lane for the Winter Street on-ramp. Because of the modification of that cross-section, that Winter Street on-ramp will now have its own sort of dedicated lane where you will not be required to merge through traffic. You'll have your own dedicated lane, and that two-lane cross-section will pick up traveling southbound. So it's kind of a long answer, but yes, that's you summarized it well.
Well, but it actually looks like almost like an improvement overall then. So it's pretty good. All right, do we have anything? Any questions?
Any impact on drainage or so forth as far as the change?
The only change, I believe, is that the catch basins, the few catch basins in the roadway will be replaced. The grates and the frames will be reset and replaced.
So this isn't introducing a new location for water to enter the area?
No, no new catch basins are proposed.
Okay, so when it spills out, it would be.
Oh, you mean with the bike ramp?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that will just be sloped down to the grassy area, and it'll just be collected in the grassy area.
Okay.
Have you all coordinated any of this with the Newburyport Parks Commission, or with Jordy Vining, the project manager for the rail trail? Seems like you're connecting right into the rail trail, and there might be some, public accessibility issues that we need to think about during construction or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen, you can talk to that. I'm
Sure. Yep, I can speak to that. So we've been in close coordination with Jordy from Newburyport and from officials from Salisbury as well. We've solicited comments from both municipalities on the plans themselves. We've incorporated the comments that we can, and have had an open dialogue with the with the plan. So yes, there has been coordination.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Oh, public?
No, this is a request for determination.
Motion to issue a -2 determination.
Second,
All right, roll call. Paul Haley,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Okay, bye now.
Okay, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Paul Haley,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. First item is Raymond Kingman Jr., 1070 Fish Street, notice of intent.
Okay, let's see who we have here for this.
There's Tom.
Looks like we have Mr. Kingman, so I'll promote him to a panelist. It looks like we have Tom Hughes. I will also promote. And I don't know if Lisa Mead is here for this particular project or a later one. Lisa, you can raise your hand if you're involved in this or not.
Good evening.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. After our last hearing, the commission had, I think, a couple questions, but basically we were waiting for DEP comments, and DEP commented that the house was riverfront, and we needed to address the riverfront standards. And they also wanted some updates to the plans. So this area has not been riverfront in 40 years, but it has become riverfront. So the house isn't in fact in the riverfront area. The mouth of the river does extend further out, jetty to jetty. So anyhow, so the end of 75th Street is in fact riverfront. So our error is just something that's a little foreign to us to start thinking of that area as that resource area. So we have submitted updated plans, and Julia, if you want to just open them, I think that's fine. So there's a couple things. One is we qualify under 1058.5 as degraded riverfront. Currently, there is driveway, house, etc. And we, from the table, you can see we have a net reduction in degraded riverfront and a net increase in vegetation. So under 1058.5 subsection F, we basically meet the minimum 1-to-1 standard. We exceed that. So we do comply with the riverfront standards. The other thing DEP asked for was a clean version of the proposed plan without the existing conditions shown. And that is the other one that we sent in back at the end of April. And we submitted, right, and these just hit the planning office at absolutely the wrong time when basically they were on a skeleton crew. So they didn't get out to you guys, which is why we ended up having to continue to this meeting rather than close out at the last one. So this is the clean proposal. So it doesn't show any of the, the structures being removed or any of that. It just shows you, okay, here's what the site will look like when we're done. We have the driveway as far landward on the site as we can to try to, minimize any impact that the retreating shoreline may have on access in and out of the site. Overall, I mean, I think we've been through this at the first hearing. It's a good proposal for a difficult area, and, hopefully more of the remaining solid foundation structures go through this process. I know, and Mr. Kingman can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that as soon as this is cleared appeal periods, he does plan on pursuing the demolition of the structure. And then he's going to kind of wait out the Army Corps dredging and kind of see how the situation plays out before doing the construction.
Okay. The commission have any questions? Yeah, we've gone through this already.
So Tom, it will be all the outdoor space aside from the driveway will be planted.
Yep. Yes, that's the current plan. I mean, we have enough unvegetated area that, it's possible, I suppose we could come back later and try to amend it and throw in like a clamshell patio or something. But for now, this is what we're proposing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, can we go back to the other plans real quick?
Yeah.
And
So if you look at the bottom while you're right there, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, let me go back.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
tab. Yeah, if you look, you can see we're increasing vegetation on site by 790-ish square feet. So that's why, I mean, we have plenty of room later if, if things settle down out there and it makes sense to do some outdoor space. Right now, it just doesn't with the dynamic dune situation out there. If you build a patio, it's just going to be under sand.
Might as well get it all planted as well as you can.
Right.
So my question was about the utilities and where they're going to be in the platform in that storage area. I just want to go back and review that on the elevation drawings. So, because the neighbors, you remember we put their propane up elevated, and it's been important that it was. Where is that all going to be on here?
So now you're stretching my memory at one point. So if you look at, there's a mechanical space elevated up 4 and so many feet. You were just there.
Oh, equipment platform.
Right,
this
so
it?
there's an equipment platform there, which would be for like compressor type things. And if you
Okay.
look up at the next slide, you can see there's an access to the mechanical area, which is shown at 4 feet,
Oh.
4 2/3, or 4
Yep.
4 3/8, 2 3/8 feet
Okay.
up. To me, that's an architectural measurement. And so I always think it's like, say it's 4.2 feet up, and the elevation of the ground there is around 9. So you're talking to be at around elevation 13
Okay.
for that mechanical space. And again, this is why, seeing things settle out after the dredge and reservation terrace, if it does stabilize, when we go to build, if something doesn't really make sense, we can always come back in and try to amend, appropriately. And obviously when the building permit is pulled, it will have to meet building code for all of those elements as well.
This siding that goes down to grade, that's strictly for the utility chase, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Hearing none. Anybody from the public want to speak to this? Raise your hand. We will promote you. I am not seeing any raised hands. So what would we like to do?
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Okay, roll call, Paul Healy. Yeah, you have to turn that on.
Yes.
Okay. Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item is Robin Wallace, 479th Street, notice of intent.
Okay, let me pull that one up. This is the location. The attendees. I've promoted Lisa Mead. So,
Leiden as well, please. She's a colleague of mine, Liz Leiden.
yes, I see that. I see Liz.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
And Devin, right? You have Devin.
Yeah, there's Devin. Sorry, Devin. I'm in YouTube panelists as well. Okay.
Okay, so we're probably not going to go into much discussion on this. Beyond, well, for a multitude of reasons, including the late file of various documents that we needed. So we're not going to, I don't think we're looking for a presentation tonight. I think we're looking to continue this. Mainly because we need more information.
Mr. Chair, could I, please?
Sure.
First, before I start, I want to say I didn't know it was Paul's last meeting. And I got that from the beginning. And I just want to say, Paul, it's been a pleasure. You've probably got more years on this commission than anybody in this hearing tonight. And so thanks, it's been great. And thank you for your service to the city.
Well, thank you for yours.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, we gave you all the rest of the information last Monday. I wasn't aware that there was any more information the commission needed. We have our DEP number. My clients are on, which is not an easy feat for them. And I have Devin here. I would like to have the commission's indulgence and allow us to make our presentation. And then if there is additional information the commission wants, we can provide it to them. But I think that we have everything the commission needs. I would also respectfully suggest that under the ADA and FHA, delays are also considered a violation of those acts. And unless there is actually information that you don't have, that we're not aware of, we'd like to make our presentation and hear what the commission has to say. It's very concerning for us that we would not be able to go forward.
Well, at this point, the documentations such as the variance request, that documentation didn't get in to us in time.
We gave it to you a week ago Monday. We filed it a
But you
week
know
ago
that
Monday.
But the deadline was a week ago, 2 weeks ago Friday. So there were more than, that was more than just the variance request. The appraisals weren't in, a set of revised plans came in. Also, it hasn't been to the zoning board of appeals yet. They're hearing it next week. They have, I would say, significantly more issues with it than the Conservation Commission does. So it would make sense for them to hear it first in case any major changes were made to the plans.
So if I could, Julia, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, through you. So we were on for the ZBA 2 weeks, a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago, I guess, because May had an extra week in it. And we're back on for them next week. We were ready to go. The ZBA meeting went exceedingly late, and therefore we were continued. We can't make changes to the plans. It would be unusual and extraordinary to do that in this instance. Again, we would like the opportunity to make our presentation. If you have any questions, will let us answer the questions or bring the information back. But I've not heard that you don't have the information. We very clearly, even though quite frankly, I don't believe we're required to apply for a variance, as you know, we went ahead and did it in the alternative anyway. We gave you that information. You have the appraisals that you're required to have. You have all of Devin's analysis. We're here, we're advertised. I understand the zoning board hasn't made their determination yet, but really I don't know that there's any reason why the board can't hear this, quite frankly, can't make a decision.
Well, one thing, I know that the ZBA is going to be going into its executive session.
Correct.
I, for one, have no interest in going into executive session tonight.
I understand.
We don't have legal representation, so that we're definitely not going to do.
I'm not, you didn't post executive session, Mr. Chair, so I presumed you weren't going into executive session.
Okay.
I understand that. I've framed my presentation to not disclose things that are private in nature and subject to executive session. I figured if you wanted to go into executive session, you would have posted it accordingly, which is what we had requested, but you didn't. And therefore, we're ready to go forward.
Julie, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that I think is a little bit more reasonable. I think if they want to make the presentation, that's fine. It did concern me that we didn't get a large quantity of the application materials until over a week after the deadline. But it's in now. If everyone's had a chance to review it before tonight's meeting, and you want to hear the presentation and move forward with discussion tonight, then that's fine. Again, I do think that the zoning board has some concerns with the project, or at least there are issues that the zoning board needs to deal with that we don't need to deal with. And so therefore, it might behoove this commission to at least not close this hearing until after we understand what happens through the zoning board.
I'm also wondering, and again, it's up to the applicant, but we only have 4 members tonight, and Paul won't be at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to set up a situation that might not be favorable for the applicant.
So as you know, through the chair, Mr. Vine, a decision of the Conservation Commission takes a majority of those present, if there's a quorum present, obviously. The city has adopted the Mullins rule. And so if you have a member that is absent, they could watch the meeting if they needed to. I am hopeful that the commission has enough information. You know, we were 3 days late on the submission. I don't know. Obviously, I can't predict what the Zoning Board of Appeals is going to do. I think the alternatives, as you have seen in our filings, are untenable, certainly for the commission, and certainly not possible given the shape of this lot and the closeness of the adjacent properties. So we would ask the commission to let us go through the presentation. If there are other questions, let us answer those questions. And quite frankly, if the commission is in a position to deliberate, we'd like that to happen. I mean, that would be our risk, right? We would have to come back if the zoning board did not approve what we have presented. So I understand that, but I would like the commission to give us a go.
All right, well, let's go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Texieri. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Devin to start out the presentation.
Thank you, Attorney Mead. Devin Morris here from Hancock Associates, Project Wetland Scientist and Manager on the project that you have before you today. It's nice to meet you all. We submitted this notice of intent to permit the redevelopment of the existing family home, which is a 2-story residence with an attic built in about 1947. Julia, if you could please pull up the plans, that would be phenomenal.
Sure.
And while she does that, I'll just kind of go through existing conditions on site, which I'm sure you're all familiar with.
Are these the plan? Just tell me which page you want me to go to, Devin. Sorry.
Absolutely. Let's go to our existing conditions plan set, and that also has photographs as well. So
Okay.
hoping that those came out clear for everyone to kind of get a better understanding as to where we're at. Great. Thank you, Julia. So we are on a barrier beach, coastal dune associated with barrier beach, and land subject to coastal storm flowage associated with the flood zone mapped AO at a depth of about 2 feet. The zone lies, the FEMA flood zone lies between an AE zone and a VE zone. So located on Plum Island, barrier beach with densely developed portion of the dune system off Northern Boulevard. Since the project is located on a barrier beach landward of the coastal beach, it must meet the performance standards under the Act 310 CMR 10.28 and 10.29, also in the Newburyport Wetlands Ordinance. So the existing 174 square foot deck on the northern portion of the property that is currently over bituminous concrete will be removed for the proposed 134 square foot impervious addition for an elevator shaft. The existing,
Devin, is that in this area right in here?
that is correct. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I forget I don't have control, so I can't move my cursor. So the existing first and second story deck and steps are going to remain in place. Adjacent to the existing shed is a koi pond, so just up a little bit on the right. Yep, exactly. Perfect. That's also going to remain in place. And then currently, as pervious area on the property, we have 722 square feet about of existing manicured lawn space and 142 square feet of existing non-native plantings, which I can talk to you later about our mitigation efforts in order to increase the pervious square footage and in regards to adding some native plantings on there that I think would be appropriate and enhance the property and space itself. So over the existing lawn on the northern side, Julia, if we could just move on to the proposed
Mhm.
page, I'll talk about that really quickly. I don't want to keep you guys. The northern side of the property, there will be a deck extension, cantilevered, which is connected to the house, and a proposed third story addition off the existing attic over existing deck space. So the proposed elevator shaft hallway, which is outlined, yep, right there, perfect, will replace an existing mudroom, and the existing third story attic storage space for the homeowners will be converted in part to livable area because there will be an elevator to accommodate the homeowners' needs. The mechanical area, which is the non-livable space, will be located in the southern portion of the home internally on the third floor. So lastly, we have, there is a proposed 107 square foot second story deck cantilevered over existing impervious gravel driveway. That's gonna be, yep, right there, Julia. The existing average roof height is at elevation 21.3 around there, and the proposed average roof height will be at an elevation 27. And we do have architectural designs that we have provided to the commission to kind of show you what will look like there. So in regards to the resource areas, we have a coastal dune. So we kind of included at least all of the performance standards and how we comply with them. The home currently is not on piers and resides in a developed area. There's no sand on the specific lot that would move since most of it is manicured lawn. And there's no native vegetation currently within the community of the resource areas itself. So more or less, the project will not interfere with the lateral movement of this dune existing today. It'll be adding 2 cantilevered decks and a third story elevator shaft and hallway over disturbed impervious concrete, and no other structures are proposed here.
Gavin, can I just interject real quick? There is also at grade, an addition on the first floor at grade for the elevator and the vestibule, correct? It's not just the second and third floor where this additional space.
Yeah, so more or less that's just going to encompass and Lisa might be able to note on this, encompass the structure of the elevator. So that is going to be the elevator shaft moving up within that area where the mudroom currently resides.
The mudroom being on the second floor, but the elevator shaft being new on the first floor as well.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. And if we actually wanted to go back to the existing conditions plan, we can show that on the photograph as to where the elevator will go. So it's going to be on the second picture right in there. Yep.
It's hard to see because the car's in the way, but it would be in this space in here.
Yes.
Underneath this existing.
Correct.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you for asking that, just to clarify, because I know it can get a little bit confusing here. So Barrier Beach, we go through a lot of the performance standards of the Act, and then also our compliance with the, specifically with the AO zone, I think was a large one that we had some questions about. And the AO zone, which is represented as like shallow standing water, is the result of the abutting VE and AE zones, whereas the velocity zones are the driver for the existing floodplain here. It's kind of a little funky area. So more or less we're not in specifically a V zone on site today. So land subject to coastal storm flowage, under the Act, there are no set performance standards, but under the local ordinance 6.528 subsection B, we do want to run through how the applicant is complying with a lot of these performance standards set in place. There's no, structures that are for paving of new roads, driveways, parking lots, proposed coastal engineering structures here. We're not within natural heritage endangered species or protected wildlife habitat as well. And our main focus is to add the elevator for the applicant here. So with that being said, I'm sure there's going to be more questions in regards to the resource areas, but I'd like to hand it over for time's sake to Attorney Mead so she can go through our variance and alternatives, and I'll take it away at the end for mitigation.
Thank you, Devin. And so what I'd like to do is go through, and I submitted all of this in writing, so I'm going to briefly go through the ADA and FHA standards, but then in the alternative, I will set forth that we do meet the variance standards, I believe, and we have provided a thorough analysis of that along with the 25-50% analysis. So under the ADA, there's a 3-step determination to see whether or not the ADA overrides or allows the waiver of local ordinances, bylaws, or regulations. And one is whether or not there's a disability, and then 2 is whether or not the accommodation sought is reasonable and necessary. And in this instance, we believe the accommodation is twofold. 1, to allow the installation of the elevator, without which the applicant could not access the property. And 2, to allow the construction of living space that would allow appropriate disability access and living space to meet the accommodated needs. We believe that the additional square feet of 93 square feet over the 25%, which I'm going to go into in detail, is a reasonable accommodation in this regard. Similarly, the small footprint of the added elevator shaft on the first floor, where it's already impervious area underneath an existing deck, and also the mitigation provided is a reasonable accommodation. And so without waiving my client's rights under the ADA and the FHA, we have also set forth the basis for a variance. And so the applicant is adding living space to the home, which of course is not built on pilings, and therefore another series of analysis takes effect. So here we provide an analysis, which I did earlier in my filings, of the 25%, 50% rule. As to the 25% rule, the existing square footage under the definition of habitable space, which we provided to the commission, is that the current habitable space is 1,656 square feet. 25% of that would be 414 square feet. The applicant is adding 557 square feet of habitable space, with the proposed structure ending up at 93 square feet over the 25%. Of that 93 square feet, 63 square feet is attributable to the improvements related to the elevator. And therefore, only 30 square feet would be attributable to additional living space, which is necessary to provide the appropriate accommodations for the requested disability needs. As to the 50% portion of the 25-50% rule, we have attached an appraisal from AM Appraisals, which with whom you are familiar. You'll see the current value of the structure is $620,000. So 50% of that would be $310,000. The value of the structure after the improvements is $870,000, where $930,000 would be allowed. So that provides for a 40.3% increase in the value of the structure. So we meet the 50% rule. Finally, as to the board's regulations regarding the floodplain and having it be free of obstruction, here the elevator pad will be built, as I said earlier, on the ground, and that will be a solid structure. And Devin has already indicated to you what the impacts of that would be in this zone. Our variance request, therefore, is the fact that the elevator will be constructed at grade and the 30 square feet over the 25% requirement. Here, there are no reasonable conditions or alternatives that would allow the project to proceed in compliance with the regulations. And then we did explore some alternatives. First, the scope of alternatives was limited due to 3 factors. 1, the existing home and first floor being at grade, and the interior layout of the existing home and the size of the lot as it relates to constructing an addition on the second floor. Any alternative would allow the project to proceed in compliance with the performance standards would not serve the intended purpose. The objective of the project is to provide access to the second and third floor of the structure, which is the living unit of the applicant. And for those who didn't hear Devin, this is actually a two-family home. The first unit, the first floor is a rental unit, and my clients live in the second floor. In order to provide access to the second and third floor, an elevator has to be installed. The other objective is to provide sufficient area in the home to allow for handicap access and for the needs of daily living along with his family, as well as medical care providers. Compliance with the performance standards will require the elevator to be built above base flood elevation, which of course is not possible, and still provide handicap access, or to construct additional space on the second floor as opposed to the existing third floor level. The applicant explored a smaller renovation of the third floor and was advised by medical providers that would not be sufficient, and we provided that information to the board, to the commission. We also provided a drawing of two possible additions to the second floor, which would provide for the space needed to meet the needs of the applicant. Julia, do you have those, or do you want me to pull those up?
I don't think I have those, Lisa.
Can you share, can I share my screen with you?
Yes. Yep. Hold on, let me stop share.
If you don't have it, Lisa, I also have it, just in case.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Let's see if I, let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
I thought I had it and I don't, so I'm gonna give it back to Devin.
Okay. And Julia, I can just share screen.
Yep. Yep. You can start sharing.
Perfect.
So
Hold on, let me just make it bigger.
yeah, so this is actually an earlier one. We actually reduced it to 560 square feet, but it still does the same thing. So if you add the 560 square feet that are necessary onto the second floor, it actually doesn't fit on the lot. So it's not quite as long as this, but it goes into the second lot. And then if you do it in a different configuration, do you have the other configuration, Devin?
I think this is the only one I have.
So the
I
other
thought-
the other configuration kind of filled in that that corner there where it says first and second story deck, but it still went over into the second lot that's next door to this house. So the alternatives of putting it on the second floor don't work. But in addition to that, putting it on the second floor would actually be worse as far as the commission is concerned, because it would add pilings where none are currently necessary, and it would cover a vegetated area, whether it's grass or not, it's still vegetated area, and it would not be a more beneficial alternative than the proposed alternative to renovate the existing third floor space in the existing footprint. So what are the mitigation measures? As Devin indicated earlier, she is proposing compensatory mitigation by adding additional native vegetation in the resource area. We provided of 142 square feet. She's provided an extensive list in our filing and on the plans of what the proposed vegetation would be in that area, which would be not native vegetation, which currently, as she said earlier, doesn't exist at all on the property.
Thank you. Yeah, so 142 square feet. So I chose some species that all of you are, I'm sure, familiar with. Salt tolerant pollinator species, 6 bearberry, Virginia rose, beach pea, New Jersey tea, and then some American beach grass, I think would be appropriate here. I think it would really benefit the lot. And in regards to our mitigation effort, we are looking at a net loss of 39.5 proposed impervious surface tabulation. So we are, exceeding that required 1-to-1 mitigation, but more than that 2-to-1.
So then the question, the last part of the variance requirement is, what is the overriding public interest? Here, there's an overriding public interest in allowing a person with disabilities to access and live in their home and enjoy their residence the same as those without disabilities. There's an overriding public interest in complying with federal law, which makes it illegal to refuse to permit at the expense of a handicapped person reasonable modifications of existing premises occupied or to be occupied by such person if the modification is necessary to afford such person full enjoyment of the premises. And a refusal to make a reasonable accommodation in rules, policies, practices, or services where such accommodations may be necessary to afford such person equal opportunity to use and enjoy the dwelling. There's an overriding public interest is supported by federal and state laws to provide the same or reasonably same access to and enjoyment of housing to persons with disabilities. In this instance, every effort has been made to tailor the requests to be reasonable and without burden on the permitting requirements. Here, no greater impact is caused by the installation of the elevator, without which there would be no access to the applicant's dwelling for the applicant. Further, by constructing the additional habitable space in the third floor, there's no further impact on the resource area, which the regulations are aiming to protect. To that end, in accordance with federal law, the provisions of access to and enjoyment of living space for disabled individuals is an overriding public interest. And with that, we'd like to take any questions from the commission, and we'd request a order of conditions with a variance be issued for this project.
Okay, where it is the variance documentation somewhere in the 6 files that we have right now?
I filed the variance documentation on Monday of last week in a cover letter dated May 31st, 2022, signed by both Devin and myself. And attached to it was the appraisal as well as Devin's updated plans.
It's part of the appraisal package?
Yeah, the cover letter is on top of the appraisal, but yes.
Yeah, in future for Hancock's edification, we need these plans like in one file, not in 6 files like we have now. Because I have no idea where any of this stuff is has been put.
So we filed it, Mr. Chair, a week ago Monday, and it's dated May 31st in hand to you. And Devin also sent it in electronically with Mr. Story's appraisal and the certification that Julia reminded me about.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
For some reason it's not coming up as attached to the.
Yeah, I have a 5/31/22 final permit plans, but
This might be it.
There it is.
Yep.
So the variance is on page, all the variance information is starting on page 4.
of that
Right
final
there.
permit plan.
Right here.
So here's where I would like to say, I think this is the crux of what you're asking is in this variance request. And I think it's important that the commission has time to read this. Has anyone else not seen this? David and Paul and Dan, have you guys read through this?
I have not.
Because this is really the important question that needs to be, these are the questions that need to be answered before I think the commission can make a decision on the variance as to whether or not, you know, these arguments are, you know, legally something the commission can go along with. We haven't dealt, and I apologize, Lisa, and to the applicant, we haven't done this before. So we've had one variance and I think in my memory, and that's been 10 years, associated with an ADA issue. And that was for an entryway at grade to get into an existing single family home. And so it was to, construct a new entry at grade. That was the accessibility, and the variance was granted for that at grade entry. This is a lot different than that. This is an elevator, which clearly is necessary to access the second and third floors. But it also involves an expansion beyond the 25% rule, which we haven't done before. And then the necessity of that is something I think we need to take a look at all of your arguments in here for that. The other question is with regard to the elevator, is that something that actually can be constructed in a flood zone at grade and still meet building code under FEMA? So there are just some other questions I think that need to get answered. I think that it's really important for the commission to, in detail, thoroughly read through your variance request, number one, and also for a couple of these other questions to get answered.
So if I could, Julie, if you just scroll down another page so you can see that where we start on the variance request. So, first of all, I'm concerned that the commission didn't read the material. So it was 3 days later than the deadline.
No, it was a week. No, I'm sorry. It was a week and 3 days later, Lisa.
Okay. Yeah. So I am a little concerned about that. Time is of the essence here. And as I said earlier, both the ADA and FHA talk about delay. Now, I know that this is our only first hearing with the commission, right? So I get that. But, these are important issues, certainly for the commission to consider. But our variance requests essentially amount to a 30 square feet. Well, it's in total, it's 93 square feet over the 25%, 93 square feet over the 25%, of which 63% is attributable to the elevator and the construction of the elevator lobby entry area. So I'm not asking for a variance on the 25% that's 1,000 square feet or 500 square feet or even 100 square feet, quite frankly. The other one is to allow the solid surface or solid walls, if you will, of the elevator be constructed at grade. And of course it has to meet the building code without question. This will be a pitless elevator. It will be lifted from the top. That is not an unusual construction methodology on areas like someplace like Plum Island. So I understand that it's unusual, and quite frankly, thank God these requests are unusual, right? For a whole host of reasons. And so I would actually like to hear a discussion from the commission. I think that if you would have read the material, you would understand the obligations of the commission, and even without those obligations under federal law, how we meet the variance requests. So I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear any questions that the commission has, because I don't want to come back here in 2 weeks if we have to come back in 2 weeks, which I think is your schedule, right? 2 weeks.
The 21st.
Right. So I don't want to come back in 2 weeks and have more questions. We can't go an additional 2 weeks. So if we go 2 weeks, we're still within the appeal period of the ZBA, right? So we're not losing time. I'm capitulating, Julia, but I'm trying to get some buy-in here that we need to have folks look at this and ask questions and let us know what you need.
I just want to point out that the fact is, though, that if they haven't read this, it was a week and 3 days late, not 3 days late. It was over a week past the deadline. So, and we typically don't even open a hearing when we don't get all the required information by the deadline. So I don't appreciate the commissioners being told that they are somehow at fault for not having read through all of these detailed things that have come in late, including a revised set of plans. So let's just put that to the
Yeah,
side.
I
And
didn't mean to imply that, and I apologize if that's the way it came across. So, we've been,
Okay,
we've been working with it for a while. So
one
anyway,
thing I want to clear up here. I don't see a variance request anywhere in these 6 files that are available on the city website. I don't have a variance request.
Julia just put it up. Julia just put
well,
it up.
those
No,
are.
I know, but to read myself.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Okay, and those are my files that, when you send it to me by email, I copy it into our file folder on the city's drive. And it then gets from there, it gets uploaded to the website. I reminded our office staff who's in charge of that we have new files that need to get uploaded last week. And if they may not have, but typically she does that. And that's another reason why the deadline is important. She does those things right after the deadline. She gets everything uploaded onto the website. And when stuff comes in late, that may not be, maybe this didn't get uploaded. If it's not on the website, I apologize on behalf of our office and our office staff and myself, but that's not something that's another reason why I think this is important to allow the commissioners more time.
Yeah, we got to make sure that that's up there access, because I downloaded everything, but I don't have it. So
Yeah, I'm sorry you don't have it, Joe, because and also to Julie, I just want to be clear. We did file it. I understand that there were some circumstances here, but it was filed.
And so wait, Joe, can you just tell me, was this plan that I'm showing right now, was this on the website?
that plan came in as a 2-page document, 479th NOI 53122 final permit plans.
Okay, so it is up there and it's dated 5/31. So there was a group of things that came in last week that were uploaded, and apparently that one document with the variance request was not. So I apologize for that.
Yeah,
That was,
unless it's buried in some other document.
it
but
could
that's,
be, right.
I haven't been able to find it yet, so.
I'm sorry about that. And so Lisa, it wasn't obviously intentional. I think that we meant to get everything uploaded when it came in last week. If there's something missing, then I apologize.
All right, so we'll straighten that out. But again, based upon understanding that, to the extent possible, does Dan, David, Joe, Paul have any questions based upon the presentation and the plans presented?
Well, personally, based on the presentation, I don't see a big issue with this. Like Joe said and others have said, we really, I read the part of the notice of intent that said if required, we'll file for a variance. And I wasn't too happy about seeing that, but there was nothing else nowhere else to go from there. To answer your question, I don't have any questions now, but I'll read the variance and I'll see if there's any issues. But it seems this is not a tremendous project here. It's not like you're, filling a whole portion of Plum Island or in a bad resource area or so forth. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, David.
Paul, your mic's off.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, okay, I was saying, even though I'm a lame duck, when I first read that thing about the public good portion, I thought, is that really the public good? But I think when you interpret the request as saying the mere existence of the handicapped accessibility laws and regulations is a public good. And since this project and this variance requested is to enable that public good, so I think I would be okay with it.
Thank you. What about Dan, maybe?
I'm not so sure that I I find the public benefit in adhering to a federal law. I mean, I think they're two separate issues, public benefit and adhering to federal law. Now, if this is exempt from local ordinances because of ADA, then it's, we don't need to issue an exemption.
Well, Dan, that's a really interesting point, because that was our position as well, is that federal law allows the city to waive the local ordinances and regulations. There is mixed case law to say that you get that waiver from the regulatory authority, but it's a waiver based upon having a disability and whether or not the accommodation requested is reasonable and necessary. And we only argued the variance request in the alternative because we were asked to, and I really am trying to get this done for obvious reasons. And so I put forward the argument, but it's our position that in fact, federal law allows a waiver of these local regulations. And in this instance, they are reasonable. We're not talking about, to David or Paul's comment, I can't remember who made it, you know, this isn't a huge lift here, so to speak. So that's our position, and that we don't need a variance actually, but in the event you want to make us go through that process, we think we meet the variance criteria. And it was the variance criteria, to Julia's earlier point, on your prior variance for access. Providing.
I've got to just quickly interject, Dan, and I'll try to answer your question as well. It is a good question, which is why we had multiple discussions with the legal staff at Copeland and Page, asking them what was exempt and what wasn't. And they, very clearly told us that the ADA does not exempt this project from going through the process of addressing all the local regulations. You can ask for a variance from them, but which now they have done and submitted that variance request, but they have to go through this process. They have to request an order of conditions, they have to request a variance and go through our variance criteria, et cetera. So that was guidance given to us by Copeland and Page. That's why we're doing this.
So if I could just go back, the variance, I believe that if you look back at the variance you granted on the other instance on Plum Island to allow that at-grade access, I believe in fact the public benefit was to allow handicap accessibility. And so I quite frankly believe it is a public benefit, and I would suggest to you politely that the ADA and FHA also very clearly say it's a public benefit.
So I mean, I don't disagree with that, Lisa. That's exactly what we did on, I believe it was whether Basin Street or somewhere down there.
Basin Street.
13 Basin or something like that. Regardless, that was akin to let's say the elevator, right? An accessibility accommodation so that the building can become accessible. But going over the 25% rule and not raising it on pilings in the AO zone, that's something that we haven't looked at before in terms of a reasonable accommodation under ADA. And so that's why I really want the commission to go through the variance request and go through your legal case that you made and make sure they feel comfortable with all of that. I also think it's important to hear what the zoning board thinks about some of these similar issues.
Right. So I would like just throw one other thing in there related to the 25% rule. So first of all, as I said earlier, 63 feet of that 63 square feet of that 93 square feet is related to the elevator. But in addition, we attempted to reduce the size slightly of the third floor living space, and were advised by medical professionals that it would be substandard and not enough space. And we provided that information to the board. So in your earlier private filing. So Joe, did you have any further comments on this?
No, not at this point.
Can I ask one more question? I apologize. I just want to know about the elevator shaft. Is there some specifications on the elevator shaft here so we can see? I didn't realize it was a pitless elevator shaft. I didn't realize how that was going to be constructed. Do we have detailed specs on that?
No, I don't have those specifications, Julia.
I think that's something that would be good to have as part of the project plans.
I'll see if I can get them.
And just to note on Hancock's side of the plans, if there's anything else that the commission wants to see, we'd love to just revise one set and get that to you and hope to get an approval and issuance on an order of conditions on the 21st.
Yeah, one question I had, would it be possible to, I don't know, not superimpose, but show graphically in the drawing where the actual shaft is? You know, I'm seeing windows and a door and all that. Am I missing something where it kind of shows that the shaft is in that, you know, in the east elevation on the left side there?
Yeah, so I'd like you to look at the, Julia, do you have the full elevations, not just the ones on the
Yes. Yep.
site plan?
I don't know which, this,
Yeah, hang on a second, because I don't want you to go up to the. Those are existing conditions. No, could you get off that plan, please?
here's
Could you move
elevator.
off, right, can you move off that plan?
Sure.
Thank you. So that was in the private file that I sent to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So, so in the site plan, in the floor plans that we originally filed with you, Joe, and in the elevations, it shows exactly where the elevator is.
In
The floor plan.
Is there a plan that, Lisa, is there a plan that I can show?
Hang on.
The floor plans were the first plans at the top.
No, I see the floor plans. I just wanted to see in relation to the rest of the building from from an elevation, side shot.
Right, like where on here is the elevator,
Yeah,
right?
but do you have the elevations that were originally filed with these plans? The elevations, not the floor plans.
That were originally filed, I mean, not this revised set of plans, but the old set of plans.
Yeah, there's
517 ones?
yeah, there's a set of elevations that are not on the site plan.
They're the architectural plans, correct, Lisa?
Yes, not these though.
Okay.
There we
Right.
go.
Or is it these?
Yes.
Right, okay. That's what I'm looking at right now.
So you see on the bottom west elevation here, number 3, you see the door?
Yeah,
The elevator runs right up there. So it's actually, I think you go in and take a right and it's right there. There you
Here?
go. That's
So
it
it's in
right there. Yeah,
Here.
yep. I think that's correct.
it would be nice if we could make that clear on a plan, just
Yeah.
because
Right.
it is kind of a really important feature.
And is everything to the left of the elevator shaft, is that the addition?
On the 3rd floor,
On the
Yes.
second and third floor?
no, there's no additional living space on the 2nd floor.
Okay, so this is all new on the third floor.
Just the outside windows, those
Yeah.
2 right there, not all 3.
Just
Right,
these.
yes, that's correct.
We can, I mean, I can speak with with Ed Dixon in regards to how to depict that on the site plans. I totally understand, Mr. Chairman, you're wanting to visualize what's going on there. So it is difficult to see.
Yeah,
how
it makes sense after you explained it. but-
How is the roof deck accessed?
There's no roof deck. That's the added There's no roof deck.
It says new roof deck.
No,
right
no,
here.
it says roof peak. There's no.
New roof peak. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I couldn't
There's
read that.
There's no roof deck. They had to raise the height of that living
Got it.
space up there. There's
Got
no,
it.
it's only,
New roof peak. Okay.
right, that's it. There's
Sorry.
no deck, right.
That shows you how bad my eyes are.
With glasses on.
Yeah, with my glasses.
Could we just hang on 1 second? Because I'm trying to talk to my client at the same time that I'm doing this. So if you could just, excuse me 1 minute.
Does the commission have, while she's speaking, or does the commission have any other requests for the plans?
I don't think I do.
Okay. And I can provide, Julia, I can provide additional photographs as well for the property if you need them. I just don't have my VPN currently, so I don't have access to my driver.
I think it would be helpful to see a photograph of the location of the elevator shaft.
Definitely.
It's hard to see. There's a car there and then everything's like kind of obscuring that area in that one photo. That would just make it more clear, I think, what's really happening.
And then you'll have it in the file folder.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and if you can get a specification on the elevator, we haven't done this before, we haven't permitted this before. It's at grade, it's an elevator in the flood zone. I really just think we need to make sure that we understand how that's getting constructed and what any flood proofing is necessary, that's incorporated, etc. I mean, it is the AO flood zone. It is expected to get during heavy floods like 2 feet of standing water. That's not necessarily great for an elevator. So let's just make sure we have in the plans how it's going to be constructed.
Okay, so we're gonna more clearly define the elevator so you can see it on one of these elevations. And if I would ask the commission to go back and look at the floor plans that were provided confidentially, and you can see exactly where the elevator is. You can also
I apologize for pulling up.
Nope, that's fine. We will get a better description of that, the elevator. I think that when you read the variance request and you see what's being requested, you can see it's minimal. And I think that if you look at the request for the variances, which regards, is essentially the square footage of the elevator at grade on a lot that already has no dune and already has an at-grade structure. And then the additional square footage of the 93 square feet over the 25%, of which can be attributed, 63 can be attributed to the elevator improvements. You're really looking at 30 square feet, which would be attributable to new habitable space, which is necessary on the 3rd floor.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
Not at this time.
Anybody from the public want to chime in? Raise your virtual hand. I see Kathy.
Okay. Let me see if I can help people unmute themselves. Kathy, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you want to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. On the first picture where it shows the cars in the driveway, it's
Let
not
me-
a driveway, it's the,
Sorry. Here we go.
no, this first picture that says exiting gravel driveway, 79th
Yes.
Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right here.
That is not the driveway. That is the 79th Street road.
We can correct anything that needs to be revised in regards to verbiage. Not a
Okay.
problem, Kathy.
Okay, so that,
Well, last week the mail truck couldn't get through 79th Street or 80th Street because they had them blocked.
So where is the driveway then, if that's not the driveway?
It's,
That's the black car is in the street.
so what I can do, Julia, just to help answer this question, I think Devin has a GIS. Devin, do you have the My Maps or the GIS you can pop up?
I do, yep. Oh,
You want to share, Devin?
yes, I would
Your
request to share, please.
Okay.
Can everyone see my screen?
And of
Yes.
course, this is not a, this is, so you can see 79th Street on the My Maps. And our structure is that odd shaped lot there, right there, 77-86. So 79th Street, if you were to look at the picture that Devin had there, you can actually see you could park 2 cars side by side in that driveway. And then there's 79th Street beside that, which is blocked off because of that planting area right there. So, you know, this is not an atypical condition on Plum Island.
Okay.
But I just
Right.
wanted to clarify that for the purposes of a comment.
Yeah, you could, if you could go back to the Jeep picture, that actually gives it the real life look that my mom was trying to explain. By the way, this is Mike, her son. If you go back to that Jeep
And-
picture,
And
The
what's your address?
we're 82nd Street, so we are north of that property.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, we measured that space there, and that's 25 feet from the bushes to the house. So based on your street that you've approved by the city, that's supposed to be 10 feet of passage of a public street, not a drive, not a dead end. They're supposed to have the ability to go back and forth. Now, if you look past that golf cart, there is a back entrance to our property for a garage back there, which has been blocked. I don't even know how many times.
Okay,
So my other question is, if they're gonna build a deck off of that structure on the right-hand side, their property, there's gonna need to be support beams and posts. And if they're gonna do that, how close should those posts be to a street? Especially in regards to wintertime, plows going by and so forth. What is the recommended space that's needed for something like that? I know this is unique and it's different.
it
Um,
is unique, and one issue is with regards to what we have jurisdiction over here in the Conservation Commission. I'm not positive that's an argument for here, because I don't know what, we can't, we don't determine road widths and where they're placed and everything, so.
I understand, but you
But he
also,
did, but they do bring up an interesting question that we didn't ask about, which is if there's a second floor deck being added on the side of the house, it's supposed to go over the existing driveway. Are there pilings associated
No.
with that? How is that? Is it
No.
cantilevered?
It's cantilever, Julia.
Okay.
There's no pilings.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
Yep.
is there going to be access to an ambulance since this gentleman has an ailment? Is there going to be?
You know,
access?
Yeah, well,
Mr. Chair, we're not going to
yeah,
answer
this
those
is,
questions.
it's really not appropriate for this
Okay.
venue,
Yeah, the zoning board can better take up those types of questions. I think.
yeah.
but basically to get back to like structurally, yeah, this is kind of your wheelhouse where you guys sit with all that. This isn't just a basic little construction. If you guys are gonna be building a 3rd floor there, there's gonna be some structural reinforcement that's gonna be needed to support a 3rd floor. Now, if you go on any public site and take a look at this property, both the top and the bottom are rented out year round. You can look at it right now and find that both places are being rented. It's my opinion that what they're doing with the 3rd floor is they're trying to put a 3rd floor on there to now get a 3rd rental income. And it's only going to impact the lack of parking that they already don't have and choose to use that road, as that picture shows, as their own personal driveway. I don't know
Okay.
where these cars are gonna park.
I get your point, and we can't solve that here. So we're gonna have to move on to more salient Conservation Commission related questions.
Understand?
These are ZBA and public safety sort of things.
If it's structurally not sound to hold a third floor. Okay.
That's not up to us to decide.
All right.
All right, Julie, can you bring up Joseph Cohen?
Yes. Oops, I'm sorry, Joseph. Wait a minute. I'm going to try, Joseph, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. If you'd like to speak, you should be able to do that now.
Yes, this is Joseph Cohen. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, so what's your address?
479th Street.
He's one of the applicants, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay.
And I just want to clarify a couple issues. We are not renting our structure and has not been rented for over a year. The lying abutters who are misrepresenting things to you should not be permitted to make factual statements they know to be untrue. Further, they certainly should not cast stones when they are in violation of multiple ordinances when we're trying to comply. I am furious. I am furious that they're doing this. Our butter across the driveway has her plantings on 79th Street. 79th Street is not even an official street adopted by the city. We don't park our cars here. We haven't been there in over a year. She is nothing but trying to create problems as a mean-spirited, selfish woman. She herself
Okay.
has 4 rental properties and now it's zoned for 2. All right? She's the one who's violated building codes. She has not gotten permits for construction. We have. Then I'm sickened that this.
I don't want to, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think we're going to need to move on from this part. I want to get somebody else in to ask another question. Can we get, can you promote Leela Wright?
Yes, Leela, I just, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, Julia.
Can you promote the other
I
two
can't
also?
listen.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Okay, hang on, Leela.
Hi, Leela.
Can I get your address too, Leela? Leela, go ahead. Leela, we can't hear you.
Leela, are you interested in speaking? Your hand is still up and you've muted yourself, but you can unmute if you'd like.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Just trying to get that clear. It's 55 Reservation Terrace, if you didn't hear that. And I just want to say, you know, I understand this is a very complex situation, but I certainly, as an island resident and a neighbor, support this application. I think it's important that people should be able to modify their homes so that they can stay in their homes as they should, you know, as they choose. And I understand it's complicated, but I do want to say that I do support it. And I think it's a fair reason to request something such as a variance. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Oh, not seeing anyone. I think we're thinking about continuing this to the next meeting, so we can go over the paperwork and get some updated plans. Does the commission have anything else tonight?
And can I ask that, can we give you those plans a week from today? Or do we have to have them by Friday?
No, a week from today would be fine. Yeah,
Thank
as
you.
long as it's a week prior to, once the hearing is open, supplemental information requested by the commission needs to be in a week prior to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so commission members, think, what do we want to do? Do we want to continue? We want to, think we want to continue.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue to the next meeting.
June 21st.
Second.
Roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you. We'll see you in
All right.
2 weeks and we'll get you that information.
Okay,
All right, thank
thanks.
you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you,
you.
commission members. It was nice to meet you all. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
yeah. You too. Can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So moved.
Moved. Second.
Roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We have one order of conditions, yes?
Yes. And
That
that
would
is
be-
for 1075th.
Yep. I don't know if you, do you have any other, one special condition that I talked with Julie about is making sure that the applicant is aware that if the site conditions change significantly, they would need to come back in for an amendment. But just have that as a special condition.
So this is the draft special conditions for that project. Going through standard pre-construction, during constructions, and then special conditions. We could add that into here under the special conditions. I already put in one, which would be immediately after demolition of the existing home, all demolition related debris shall be removed from site and properly disposed off of Plum Island. Any voids in the dune may be filled with beach grade sand to level the area if necessary. And then we could add one right underneath it. Joe, that would say, what was it? You want to put that into words for me again?
Basically, it would be close to your last sentence in the notes. Make sure the applicant's aware that they may
Oh, right.
change.
If conditions should change between demolition and prior to construction, the commission may request updated plans reflecting those changes in site conditions.
I'm kind of wondering if, rather than saying if conditions have changed, because who's going to decide that?
Right.
Would be that after demolition and prior to the new construction, the applicant shall present to the conservation agent, stating that conditions are the same as when this notice was, or certificate, no, I'm sorry, notice was issued.
Okay. So something, okay, I like that, Paul. So after demolition and prior to new construction, the applicant shall present to the commission evidence that site conditions have not changed significantly enough to require revisions to the plans, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any other additions or changes? Okay,
Motion to accept the conditions.
or issue an order of conditions?
Yeah, issue.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Last but not least, enforcement violations, 3Q Street.
Okay, here we go, back to 3 Q Street and the wall. Did you all receive the letter that I drafted regarding the lifting of the enforcement order?
Yes. I didn't have any issues with it. I thought it covered, I thought it covered well what the situation was out there, and the fact that we're going along with the additional engineering judgment.
Let me pull it up. I have it. Put it on here. Here it is. The enforcement order release form. Here we go. Okay, so anyone have any changes they would want me to make to this other than adding in today's date?
No, I thought it was good.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, you could vote on this. I just also wanted to make note that we did receive a letter today from the mayor's office. See if I can find that one. Yeah, I have several conversations with them about this, as well as DPS. They took a look at it, and they took a look at the letter from Lisa O'Donnell and put together this letter. I also got an additional email from Tony Fernari saying that he was fine with it.
Okay. Well, this letter changed my vote. All right, so what do we do? We just
So
go.
now what you would do is, yeah, you'd vote to issue the, let's see. What did I just had it open? It was the enforcement order release form. You would vote to sign this enforcement order release.
And there's no issue as far, is this a ink signature or one? Or
No,
is-
this can be done electronically as well, because we went through that process of sending the registry you guys all had to come in and sign that document, and now they can accept these electronic signatures continually.
Oh, okay.
Paul,
Motion?
Paul.
Ooh, yeah, Paul.
Oh, no, there's one more, sorry. What? we
Yeah,
don't-
there is one more
Yeah,
motion
yeah.
that Paul needs. to
Okay,
make.
I'll make a motion to for the commission to issue this release of the enforcement order.
Second,
Roll call. Paul Healy,
yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
and I will vote yes. Okay.
How long has it been?
So long. Last summer, I want to say, last fall.
No, how long have you been on the commission?
Oh,
That's what I thought you're talking.
Oh. I was thinking about this project, sorry.
Oh,
More than twice as long as the next longest serving person. More than twice, more longer than the next two longest serving.
yeah.
Oh, you mean how long?
It had to be around, I was on the commission in 1988, Paul. I think that's when I was, and you were already there for a while.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's been 36 years.
36 years, 7 months, 4 days.
Yeah,
and 38 hours.
but yeah, I'm not counting. But I think the first case that came up was a small piece of NAID 1.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when I go down into the basement of City Hall and pull out the oldest Concom files that we have, your name is on them, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, that was a long
Good.
time ago.
It's
I
very
tell you,
comforting.
yeah, no, things have changed a lot in that period of time.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Seen it all.
You're gonna break the record, Joe?
Am I?
Yeah,
Well,
you
yeah.
break Paul's record?
Go for it. Go for it.
what did I say, Paul? Let's see, when you started, I was like 26 and I would have to be 81 to stay on as long as you. So,
You can do it.
yeah, well, I don't know. My family history does not tell me I'm going to be around at 81. so
Uh-oh.
At least my immediate family history.
Oh,
Right.
you can beat that. Paul, we might need to still call you our like special advisor. So
Oh, yeah.
that, you know, phone a friend. Like if we have questions, we might need to
Yeah.
call
No,
you.
I'll be around.
Yeah, and we'll give you your regular pay for it too.
Oh, great. Yeah. And pension.
You can keep your
You
hat.
deserve a
Your
pension.
pension.
Paul, I'd push for a little bit more than, I'd go for time and a half for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Yeah.
Just, I do want to have, are you going to come to a going away party, Paul?
I don't know. We can talk.
Yes, we need to talk. We are going to need a new CPC
Yes.
associate. The CPC, Community Preservation Committee, wants to be part of any farewell for Paul too.
Yeah.
So that we
Okay.
shall do.
Now, I think as far as CPC is concerned, I think what you guys decide which of you wants to be the next member, suggest that to the mayor, then it goes through the regular cycle. But it starts with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and then city council has to appoint, but
Right.
we have to elect whoever's gonna
Right.
be part of it.
And it is a very fun job. I would give it a good recommendation to do.
Well, you seem to like to do it.
Yeah, no, and it's really comes down to about 6 meetings a year. So it's not too bad,
Mhm.
but it's just such an interesting process, giving away money.
No, it's-
And how
Must be
quickly everybody reaches agreement.
no, that's good.
Yeah,
It's like us. It's like,
yeah, right.
so, yeah, so I'm gonna attempt to, we'll coordinate something. You will need to give me some dates that you will be available.
Yeah, okay.
So I can circulate that amongst everybody, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna go.
Right.
And we can work with, I can communicate with others at the planning office about the CPC group too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys have a good time.
Well,
Sure, you don't want to come back for another few meetings? I mean, do you have an end date, or was this it?
This is it.
oh, all right.
I really appreciate you coming tonight, Paul. We needed you, and that was really
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah,
I appreciate it too, Paul.
yeah. Okay.
Almost as much as I appreciate all your time in
Yeah,
and forcing me to be the chair. Thanks.
I know. Yeah, that was a good move.
Was it now? Really?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. You know, David, I have no idea whether you're even smiling or not because
Oh,
your
gee.
your
Blacked
picture's as
out.
dark as Gretchen's. Right?
Well, I'm here
Okay,
somewhere.
All
bye-bye.
right, take
All right.
care.
Oh,
See
wait a
y'all
minute.
in
Paul,
2 weeks.
Paul, wait, don't go
Paul's
anywhere.
down the alley here.
Oh,
You need to make one more motion.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
I'll
Was that-
second. Roll call, Paul Healy.
Yes.
Wait, I'm not calling on you yet.
Oh,
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
I vote yes. Paul Healy,
yes.
thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank
thought I
you,
was gonna have to
Paul.
fight. Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to fight Steve for doing the motion to adjourn.
And you didn't have to. We got rid of
No.
him.
Got rid of
Yeah.
it for that reason, right?
Yeah.
All right. Good night,
Okay.
everyone.
Be in touch.
Cheers, Paul.
See you
Cheers.
soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Where do we end?